We wore the uniform today.
I don't get to the T. This is quite terrible.
I know. Pretty embarrassing.
But later we're gonna go ride on a bicycle built for two down the street.
It's thematic. We're in the dark.
Thematic.
We're wearing black.
Yeah.
We're looking at a book with cars.
We are looking at a book
shadows.
With cars in the shadows.
Cars in the Shadows was like the working title.
Cars in the
honestly.
Shadows?
Yeah, like the folder with all of this
on
my computer is still called Cars in the Shadows.
Yeah.
I'm here with my friend Chris Nguyen, and we're talking about my book, Waiting for the Sun to Come Down, which is available at the link below, and it is available at least in the US right now. There was some supply issues, but I'm happy to say that if you want it, you can get it. So yeah, we're gonna chat about it a little bit. I hope you took good notes.
Indeed,
All
that
right.
I did. Scribbled all over the margins. A lot of red circles.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll let you take it from here.
You know what I always do when I start? Of course, the book jacket is always very important, but sorry, I didn't mean to
What was that?
look like the camera like I'm on QVC. No, but one of the things that I do when I get a new book is I always look at the actual book underneath the jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Jacket, of course, is very well done.
Give them a peek of that.
But if you look at my book collection, I often will display books without the cover.
Yeah.
And this, very nice.
Well, you helped me with the design of this. Not help in so much as listened to me slightly. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. You provided a lot of good feedback. I ran a lot of stuff past you, and you were my sounding board. Chris is a very talented designer, many years of experience. Not many, but experienced designer. So you were an invaluable resource with helping me with the design of the book.
I was happy to help.
So
This is very exciting.
any problems with the layout, just direct them towards him.
Please. My AOL address will be listed at the end of the video.
Remember Instant Messenger? I went like on a long thought about AOL Instant Messenger today.
How many screen names did you have?
I had a few.
Yeah, as did I. Many very embarrassing. Actually, none of them were dignified.
So what do you like here? What's good?
Lots good here.
Okay.
I mean, I've watched your photography evolve over the years, and it's a really nice encapsulation of the work that you've done over the year. It's just the way that you've honed and refined your skill, your particular style, especially, I think, it really comes through. I remember when you were doing this primarily on Instagram years ago, and that was kind of the seed, right? Where you started to develop like your unique language.
Definitely. And I talk about that a little bit, but it was like the limitations of shooting on the iPhone. I was like this holdout. I used iPhone only for Instagram for way too long, like up to 2020. Even though I had real cameras and I was doing real work, I really liked the purity, and I tried to stick to the purity of that format, like as if that meant anything. So, but over that time, I really loved how the iPhone had just this really limited dynamic range. So, you know, if you expose for a highlight, then everything else drops to black. So that like really shaped how I started shooting and what I would look for in the time after.
Yeah, there's so much mood and context. You know, I think back to like the photography books that I had when I was a kid, and even car photography books in particular. And a lot of times it's just kind of like a beauty shot of the car, and it's in a field or something like that, but it's not contextual. Like, I like that the car is part of the image, but the image is so much more than just that. It is, if it's not just the background or the foreground. It's just oftentimes like, there's just a corner of a car. It's really nice context, which I think tells more of a story than, like a bumper to bumper image, which I think a lot of car photography books end up being. But yeah, that is something that I think is really unique to what's being presented here.
Wow, well said. If I didn't know better, I'd say you read one of the blurbs.
Maybe so.
You've driven this car.
I have driven that car, the Panda,
And this one.
the Lancia.
So let's talk cars. What do you like in here?
That's a tough question. Like, there's a lot to like. I think you and I have a very similar taste in cars, and it's not always just about like this is something like hyper exclusive or expensive. Like sometimes, like the Panda shots, I think are really cool, and the Panda famously is a $13,000 driving experience. I do really like these two of the Lancia Fulvia. It's just one, you just never see them around, and it's just kind of a nice reminder that cool small cars like this exist.
Yeah, a cool little exclusive coupe.
Yeah.
Like it's like such a perfect like little thing. I mean, it's almost like the emoji of a car, but so elegant. You know, it's perfect.
Yeah, very much so.
Do you remember you were with me when I took this photo?
Oh, with the one of the Fuke? That was in LA, right?
That was in LA. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
outside of Mistress, which is a
yeah.
shop that no longer exists. They
Yeah.
parked all the cars that were either waiting or that were finished just on the street.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
in or adjacent to Silver Lake.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
And they parked everything on the street. And we saw this one and it was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there were a bunch of cool garages there. Not surprising that is, all those shops are very expensive to bring your car to. It's such an expensive neighborhood.
That was the most expensive oil change I've ever had.
Yeah.
And hopefully will ever have.
Very LA pricing.
And it wasn't even like we found $4,000 worth of work. It was like the oil change is like $500 or something.
That was insane.
In 2018. I love on this door with the Carrera T, maybe it was after it was like car washed.
Yeah.
We took it to a car wash where they drove it through the thing and then they gave it back to us and then I noticed this like when they opened the door. And I was like, oh, I gotta get that. But the reflection, how it's like super warped and distorted in the shadow of the script is so cool.
Yeah.
And that's just like, you could never in a million years plan for that.
Yeah.
And even the first 20 times I look at the image, I don't even see it, but then that 21st time. I like when, as much as I love when the shadow drops everything straight to black, I do like when you can see the detail in the hubcaps and like just some little bits there that it's not completely lost.
Yeah.
The thing, if everything goes to black, that's great. It's not a matter of just like turning up the contrast to 1,000. It's like, it really is, the sun is doing a lot of this.
Yeah.
So sometimes sometimes the side of the car is just completely black, and then sometimes you have like this where you see some reflections and detail just really muted and really understated in this car, and then the background goes to black.
Yeah, very much so. Just that hint of detail is really nice. I mean, it would be similar to what you see in real life, except that it's just slightly more contrast, a little bit more dramatic.
I mean, that's always been my approach to editing in general, is just like, I want it to be realistic, but like heightened.
Yeah.
Like if you saw, say, like this 911R and you saw it parked and it was this incredible scene, and the next time I saw you, you're like, oh, I saw this 911R and the sun was setting and it looked so good, and you're remembering what it looked like, and the red was just perfect and the shadows were so crisp and it was warm. Like how I try to edit is like how you remember seeing something that was cool and pleasing.
Yeah. Again, it speaks to capturing the mood that was going on at the time.
Another word.
No, a little too on the nose. Yeah, just like this photo on is this your car or is this a Carrera?
That is my car.
Okay. But just that, like just this detail, like there's so much context. I love that there's just kind of like an architectural shadow in it. And you know what car it is for the most part, but you don't have to look at, you're not like showing the entire car. It's just like a very uncommon perspective of this car, which I think is very interesting.
And I'm sure there would be a time in my life where I would see that weird jagged shadow and be like, oh, I wish this wasn't here, you
Yeah.
know, or I wish it was more even or whatever.
I think that's part of it, is that like you capture the imperfection of the moment too, which makes it it feels real in a way, and not just like you've parked it in a certain way just to capture it just like this. There's kind of like an honesty and an earnestness to the imperfections of the surroundings, or just like how the shadows lay on the car.
Yeah, it's funny, like you would think doing this enough. I mean, I'll try to show you one location. I mean, where this was taken, it's a garage structure, and it comes up in this book a number of times.
Yeah.
And I never take the same shot there. I mean,
Yeah.
and part of it's like different times a year, like the shadows fall different times a day, different car colors.
Yeah.
But I can go to that garage at the right time of day with a car, and I still don't know exactly what I'm gonna do or how it's gonna turn out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm still always discovering, and there's so many times where I park the car and I'm like, all right, I'm perfectly on this shadow, and it just doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
What's worse is like I don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
I still don't know exactly.
Yeah.
When you shoot a car in the shade and it's like golden hour and it's perfect and it's beautiful, it's very predictable and it can be amazing. And I love those photos and I love doing it, and it's so satisfying. And but when it's like this, it really is like higher stakes, because you know there's times where it's like, well, I didn't get anything today, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like, in order to be standing at the perspective where the background is black, you might find yourself with the sun directly behind you, and that's not a good angle.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you want to kind of have everything like overlaid, or I don't know. It's like it is just all like a game of angles.
Yeah.
And if I was interested in going and recreating the same shot every week, then yeah, I would know what it's going to look like. But I'm always trying to find like a different angle or different perspective.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out. The 911R that we were just talking about, well, one of us was, is the most nakedly where you can see the like the most of the location.
Yeah.
But this was actually somewhere else. But yeah, this was a neat spot. Annoyingly, I have like a perfectly front on shot of
Yeah.
the 911R, and it's not quite perfectly front on.
Yeah.
It's just off just by a smidge, where
Yeah.
it's like, what was I thinking? But yeah, when I go to this spot, I mean, it's like a multi-level garage, and I will be like running, like I'll park the car and I'm running up the ramp, up another ramp,
Yeah.
like, taking pictures. So it's like I'm out of breath. I'm just like moving.
It's photography parkour.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I love this one of the W210 manual swap E55 in downtown Houston. I love just how the background with the buildings. There's something about like a shadow on a giant skyscraper that is very jarring, because it's such a large object. You wouldn't think that a shadow could be cast on it.
That I got so lucky with that shoot, where just everything, yeah, and there's cool reflections like in the shadow in the background from like another glass building that's adjacent, and it's in the sun and it's bouncing back into the shadow. But yeah, that was a fun morning where I didn't really know what was going to happen. Well, as fun as can be in fall of 2020.
Well, yeah. Just speaking of like the design of the book as well, I think, you know, I'm impressed at how much time and effort that you put into just caring about how the images were placed on the page, just because I think that also kind of lends importance and weight to the image as well. Like if you had gone like full bleed pages, I think it would have just kind of taken people out of it a little bit. But the scale and everything, just the attention to detail, I was very impressed with just how dedicated you were. And it was a somewhat torturous exercise for you.
Sounds like for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so hard, like, because if I was designing this for someone else, I could like slap this together in a weekend and not care about the quality level as much, but I cared so much, and you know, this is it. Like, this is like a decade of work to put these together. So I want these images presented as good as they can be.
Yeah, indeed. And I know a lot of people are excited to get these books. I've been hearing great things. I know some people who want you to sign their books as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Or other parts of themselves, I suppose.
Well, we're going to wrap this up, but thank you for watching this. And if you're interested in getting a copy of this, it is now widely available, at least in the US, and it is available on CarreraBooks.com. Thank you for chatting with me today about this, and lending your beautiful home certainly beats my closet.
Yeah.
We got to tell the folks to like and subscribe.
Of course,
it's very important. And I will see you next time.